6-7 years, I'm about to run this bag up so big. In 6-7 years, I want to move to Italy. Probably me and my girl, like, probably have a little house for my mom and them, and just be off the grid. Like, that's what I want.
No new songs at that point?
Probably for fun sometimes, like, but I ain't trying to make it. Like, I ain't doing that.
Why Italy?
I don't know. I like the water a lot, and I don't want nobody to know me. Like nobody.
You must have went out there recently, had a good ass time.
Nah, I went to London and had a good time, so I was thinking about Italy.
Welcome to Road to Billions podcast, the mentality of an entrepreneur. With your host, Moise Bertrand.
Hey everybody, it is your host, Moise Bertrand, the Road to Billions podcast. It's been an amazing journey, you guys, and I appreciate every last one of you guys who's been listening and tuning in, of course, on every episode, on every bit of season that I go through. Of course, for those who share my episodes, for those who continuously give me, that encouragement, I want to say I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And for those who are my new listeners as well, man, welcome. Welcome to the Road to Billions podcast. It's a community of knowledge, an encyclopedia of just advice and real personal opinion. It's not like other episodes where, I don't talk about what people don't like to talk about. I talk about the real shit. I may not make videos. I may not be publicizing my work all the time, but when you listen to my episode, it's raw and it's uncut. I'm not here to bullshit you. I'm not here to feed you a story. I'm not here to make anybody here happy. I'm here to just speak my mind, and of course, those who share the same beliefs as me, agree. You may not agree with everything. You may agree to disagree, but I'm here just to give you guys an open concept about how I think. And, today I want to talk about when appraisals are haters, right? And a lot of people might be like, yeah, we heard about these situations in the past where, appraisals and black people don't really get along when it comes to getting the right valuation of your home. And, I can tell you guys now, this is something I constantly deal with. And it may not be something that I may be proud to say that I deal with, but this is something black people deal with and have to deal with for the rest of their life, whether they're buying a car, getting a job, buying a home, anything. You're going to have to deal with that negligence of just people being, discriminating against you and, of course, being racist, right? So we definitely keep our eyes open and our ears peeled back when we do real estate deals, and, of course, when we invest in different areas, because not every area is for black people. Not every area is for us. And we have to be realistic. We have to be very much open to the facts that not everywhere we're welcome, and we have to be able to create our own communities, our own, places where we call home. And the reason I say that is because, many times when real estate investors buy a home, our whole concept is to get a hard money lender, fix it up really well, and refinance. And typically when you refinance, you want to get some cash back, which is technically the money you put down, and then plus equity that was built in through the upgrade you did to the home. But you might run into many times where an appraisal might come into your home and devalue it, right? And as someone who does real estate consistently, real estate appraisals are going to be your biggest enemy. It's not the home inspector, it's not the lender, it's not the contractor, it's the appraisal. Because like anybody could tell you, it doesn't matter if you pay a contractor $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. They can make the work look immaculate, It all depends on how the relationship is with you. But I feel like you can get anything done with any type of budget. It may not be the most top of the notch, but clean cut, that's what we got. That's what we're looking for, right? But then you have appraisals that come in and see who owns the house, or they see the name and the owner on the house. Things just go down here from there. I had an appraisal where I had to get done 4 times, right? 4 or 5 times. Well, this recent one I had to get done 4 times. And you might be like, damn, why did I have to get an appraisal done 4 times? Mind you, the appraisal is $650, right? And when you get an appraisal done, you guys, you have to understand this. The appraisal is not there to help you. The appraisal is there to help, in my opinion, the lender. That's what I'm gonna really say, because I feel like it shouldn't be no reason why my lender should be able to hire a third-party appraisal without me having to hire them myself, right? Whether or not I know them directly, whether or not I did business with them directly, your lender allows you to find your own insurance. So why can't we find our own appraisal? And I feel like that creates a lot of gray areas because lenders are afraid to, in my opinion, to dish out money, right? They don't want to give money back out to their clientele, whether it's $1 million, 10 grand, 3 grand, 1,000, 2 grand. No matter what the amount of kickback is going to be, there's always a way for them to try to figure out what rule could they bend in order for you not to get those funds. And that comes usually from the appraisal, man. You know, the appraisal, you know your house is worth 180, the appraisal comes back at 150. You're 30 grand short. What does that mean? That means a lot of things, right? That means, for one, you're going to have to more than likely bring money back to the closing, because when you go from a 1-year to 30-year loan, you have to renegotiate your terms, right? It's like, think about it like you do in the NBA. You get a rookie contract for 1 year, which is the first time you get your house, your rehab, right? When that 1 year ends, or before that 1 year ends, you have to go into your 30-year mortgage, which is, in other words, you're going from rookie to now sophomore, right? But that's only going to work if you perform well in your rookie year. That's the only way you're going to be able to extend the contract. In other words, the only way you're not going to bring back money to the closing if the appraisal likes the home to a point where they evaluate it so much to a point you don't have to bring money back, and at that point, you safe, right? That's being safe. Now, let us say you perform really well in your rookie year to a point where you're dropping 25 points a game, and then now you're going to your real sophomore year. Now, this is where the appraisal can help you at, right? They like the home, they see the comps for it is solid, you did nice additions to the home like you said you would. They come back and they say, you know what? This house ain't worth 180. This house is worth 220. So now you get a bigger bang for your buck. You're above 40 grand now, right? So now you're having money come back to the closing table. But what happens when you get a valuation that you weren't even expecting, like $130,000? This house is worth, in your eyes, 180. You put HVAC, roof. The comps for it is 165 to 185, even 190. But you come back and get a 130 valuation. What do? What could you do, right? Well, in that very instance, there's a lot of things you could probably try to do. And I say try because if anybody here knows this or not, appraisals will not change their valuation for you. They feel like their final word is the final word. But what happens when you drop a house from 180 to 130 valuation? Well, this person who owns the house now is in a ton of trouble. Money will have to be brought back to the closing. Prices of things that you wanted to buy are no longer even a thing anymore, because you can't even grab another house if you wanted to, because now you're dealing with this house and the problem that you're dealing with this lender, as well as the appraisal not even changing what you appeal. So when you appeal something for the appraisal, it's pretty much, just like anything, you're telling them, hey, listen, I think you should take a second look at this. With the information I'm providing you, can you let us know if there's something you could do? Quote unquote, can you change this fucking valuation? They will tell you in layman's terms, yes, we'll take a look at this and look to see where we could do. What could we do? In other words, if you don't get the fuck out my face, that's what they're saying, man. Get the fuck out my face with this shit. I'm just going to take this so you don't try to sue me saying, hey, I tried to appeal it and he didn't let me appeal it. So I'm going to still go through the steps of accepting it, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to actually do something with it. Many times, you're not going to get a higher valuation after you appeal it. They're just going to send the same valuation back to you. They might go up $3 grand and be like, here, take it. Now you're like, damn, like, what's the problem? And a lot of people, they don't understand that. And I'm going to keep it real with you. The minute you hop on that phone with that person, that appraisal, they know if you black or white. So there's nothing you could do about that, right? And I feel like that's a situation that a lot of people go through and are unaware of, right? You talk to this appraisal, they already see that you're a black family, you have a dog, you have house pictures. They don't understand the dynamic of black people. So, they come in and they devalue the home. They redline the area. All the homes in the area are fucking low cost now, even though they have the best of things into it. And then you have these other investors and corporations who come in and buy little to a dollar, right? They come out, and then, people who really need the money, they sell it at a low price. And now there's a new investor who came out from out of town. He has a really great deal for little to none, right? And these appraisals are fucking up the real estate game because people are looking to sell homes, right? So somebody might have put an offer in for 180, you look for 195. They said, we'll do 195 if you could show us an appraisal for at least 195. You get the appraisal done, it comes back at 130. You tell them, hey, listen, it's okay, we'll just stick to 180. They're a little skeptical. They're like, well, what did the appraisal did come back, right? So now you're dealing with a buyer who is trying to open up a can of worms. You're like, listen, I have another potential buyer and offer, and this person probably isn't buying your bullshit no more. So now you just lost out on two. You lost out on 195, and you potentially are losing out on the 180 if the buyer agent feels like you're bullshitting them. And then, like anybody, I'm gonna ask for the appraisal report, right? So, appraisals play a very big deal in the home and real estate, and I feel like they're the most important people in the industry. We overlook contractors, we overlook inspectors, we overlook all these people to come down to the person who makes the real final decision. All these other people we had done the work in the business, they don't mean nothing. I mean, shout out to you guys, windows, sauce, paint, they all mean something, what I'm saying. But they don't have no say-so is what I'm saying, right? That's the final thing I'm saying. When it comes down to how you're going to make this money, how you're going to feed your family, how you're going to sell this home, how you're going to get money out of this home, how you're going to continue to build a legacy in real estate, it comes down to the appraisals, right? Appraisals are who dictate the market, the area valuation, of course, how much money you're going to get. And, I'm going to keep it real. I don't like appraisals. I feel like we need more black appraisals, not only in Atlanta, but also in any other place in this fucking country because, like I said before, I run across so many people who are not fond of black people owning real estate. I'm talking about let alone having multiple houses like myself and other people who are in this industry. And it's kind of daunting because we don't want to talk about it, right? When people ask me, how many houses you got, I kind of keep that to myself. When appraisals ask me, hey, do you own this house? I said, no, this is a friend of mine who owns this house. And I might even go beyond the measures and say, no, I'm just doing landscaping. I don't want you knowing I own this house. I don't even own this house. If anything, I'm just opening the house for you. The owner's a white person. I'm showing you an Instagram photo of a random white person. I'm saying, this is the owner. I just work as a property manager here. Home come back valuation is amazing, and then this is things I have to do sometimes to preserve the deal. It may not be pretty, but it's something I have to do. And a lot of people run from the work. A lot of people don't understand that the work has to get done regardless. So whether you have somebody come out and do the valuation, whether they're black or white, they're still going to give you the same valuation, I feel like, as the white person. I'm not even saying the black appraisers are fucked up nowadays, but I'm just saying a lot of them are tainted. A lot of them are influenced severely by their peers and their counterparts. And of course, that causes a lot of problems in this real estate industry. So, I try to encourage people to go through real estate and see for themselves, how this shit really affects, not only our culture, but also the industry, right? And I feel like we got to do more AI in that aspect because appraisals, they don't really take the time to understand what was done to the house, let alone they're letting this racialness get to them, right? Oh, black people own this house. I'm not going to give them a $750,000 valuation. Fuck that. I'm going to keep them at $500,000. And at that point, they're not going to be able to build this wealth in this house, let alone sell it. So, I try to tell people, man, like, be very mindful about who you run into as far as these appraisals. They're slick, they're shicey, they're snaky. And, I definitely am looking for somebody to potentially make an AI appraisal app. That would be definitely something that changes the game and knocks these people out of the game because at least with the AI appraisal app, there could be two things that could be done to it to ensure safety and its credibility is having an overseer, right? Appraisal that's going to oversee it without actually meeting the person, without actually having any identification of the person's home, not knowing if they're black or white, not showing any identification, not knowing who actually is living in the home. And I feel like if we have that done with the AI appraisal, then at that point, homes will now be stabilized. Because now we do know the real valuation of homes. We do know the true cost of everything, and we kind of have a security knowing that we don't have to pander to someone to make them give us a good valuation. If anything, now we submit documents, we submit paperwork, we go through the process, and we do it the right way, and we do it, and we get it done correctly. We don't get it done based off the smell of the house. Like I said, AI could take care of and knock out all these pre things that I don't know how to say that damn word. I'm not gonna try it. I'm gonna try it one last time out. Yeah, preliminary. I'm trying to get it, but you guys kind of see pretty much prerequisites of what a home should look, smell, feel like. Everything that appraiser would kind of take in on their evaluation. Now the AI doesn't take that in, if that makes sense. They don't care about how your house smells. They don't care about who lives in there. They don't care about, how cold or how hot it is. And, they don't really care. They only care about if it's done correctly, what's in the home, and how does it look, right? I feel like that should be the only stipulations that we have with these appraisals and also with a new appraisal AI app. And I definitely feel like that's going to be something that knocks these people out the game, man. And I don't want anybody to lose their job, obviously, but something has to give, man. For those who've been in the game for 20, 30 years, they've seen it all, right? Me, 4 or 5 years, I'm seeing it already. Like, the first day I bought a house, motherfuckers was asking me, do I own this house? And I said, no. They said, who owned the house? I said, I'm just here, with the realtor and stuff. I'm just learning how to be a realtor. They said, okay. Okay. I laughed in my head. I'm like, yeah, you ain't finna get me. That same person came back and was the appraiser. They said, hey, it's nice seeing you again. I said, yeah, I'm working with the realtor. I'm their trainee and stuff. I got to open this lockbox up for you and everything for the owner. They're not in town. They're like, okay, cool. Valuation came back. Amazing. So then I have to ask myself, who's really for us, right? Who's really helping black people increase their wealth? Because I hear about all these organizations and groups and everything for black people and trying to help, but I don't really hear anything about it nationwide, and that's because we're not gaining the momentum that needs to be done in order to sufficiently change the trajectory of our culture, right? They don't want us to know about certain programs, about certain groups, about certain laws, and about certain things. Like I said, I was telling my sister, and I'm like, listen, you can do this and this and that. You can negotiate the long terms. You don't have to give them. You don't have to take what they give us. We don't have to take 2 points. We could take a point and some other shit. You feel me? We don't got to do none of this shit, let alone the amount of houses we have. We don't have to really worry about what they have to say. We're at this point, we're giving you the business. You're not giving us no business, because like anybody knows, you don't have to necessarily close with that lender. You could always open up with the lender, meaning you could get a loan with them, but you don't have to do a 30-year loan, 30-year mortgage with them, right? You can always find another lender, and they know that. So that's why they try to scare tactic you into saying, oh, you sure you're going to be able to find someone who gives you this better deal than us? Yeah, because at this point, your appraisals are all giving me bad valuations, but I'm not even going to say it's you guys. I'm just going to go to another lender and not tell them about what's going on and see what their appraisals will give me, and at that point, I can compare. And more than likely, it's always the second lender that's going to give you a better deal. The first lender kind of plays with you too much, and they know their appraisals. They know how they rock. I feel like they know their appraisals. I feel like they have an inside job going, but there's nothing that's going to be solidified proof that one or the other party is going to come out and say, yeah, I was paid, or this person told me to keep, this is our threshold, this is our, we're never going to hear nothing about that, because that would cause an uproar. Like, how many other people did you fuck over? How many other appraisals did it come back? So lenders and appraisals, I feel like they have a relationship that a lot of people don't know about, and as much as appraisals get paid from lenders, they're going to stay loyal to lenders, man, because lenders are providing them with those gigs that's paying them $500 to $1,000 per valuation. And, they're doing 4 or 5 a week, and at this point, they're getting that bag, and they don't know how to say no, man, to unjust. So I definitely want you guys to be on the lookout for that. Work with appraisals and lenders who have a good reputation. And you may have to go through 1,000 appraisals and lenders to find that great lender. But then again, you don't even want to put all your eggs in one basket with that lender because they might play you stupid too. So, like I said, man, there's a lot of things that play a part in this real estate industry. And like I said, like I mentioned before, man, when appraisals are haters, bro, like, there's nothing you really could do. You know, the shady lenders, the weird appraisals, the lazy agents, all this plays a part into just like getting the right deal. If you have a bad real estate agent who gave you bad information from the beginning that you didn't know what was good or bad, you're setting yourself up for a bad appraisal, right? Because you might be spending more money on rehabs than you would have on cosmetics. And, you know, like I said, you want to make sure you do your due diligence with everything. You may not always strike gold every time, but at least you know you did your preparation, you was prepared, you was already equipped, and you have the knowledge. There's nothing nobody can take away from you. Once you have the knowledge, the preparedness, the due diligence, the consistency, the hard work, man, listen, bro, I tell people all the time, I'm Moist Bertrand because I know who I am. Ain't nobody gonna sit here and say you a lazy motherfucker. Ain't nobody gonna say, oh, bro, you don't get no money. Ain't nobody gonna say this nigga ain't really on, like, trying to become better for himself. Ain't nobody can ever say that about me. I know who I am. And that's why I speak this into existence, that I'm become already a multi-millionaire in this real estate industry because I'm able to impact, and not only impact, I'm able to change. I'm able to allow people to understand I'm flexible, so I'm not trying to stay the same. So I see things from an early standpoint that a lot of people miss, right? And that's what allowed me to continue in this legacy of building wealth. Because when I give you guys information about certain shit that happens to me in real estate, I'm not telling you these stories to make myself sound good. I'm not telling you these stories to hear myself talk. This is real shit, right? We lose out on hundreds of thousands of dollars of being real estate investors early on because appraisals give us bad deals or bad valuations, or we're fed bad deals from our agents. But then again, I tell everybody all the time, if you're paying 6 figures for a fucking asset, you better do all your research, nigga. I'm sorry for my language, but you better do all your research, man. You feel me? Woman or dude, you better do all your research, because at the end of the day, when you sign those long-term papers, you know what I tell everybody? You can't do shit. Who you gonna call now? You responsible for that payment. Oh, they finessed me. Okay, cool. Well, now you gotta go through legal paperwork. How long that's gonna take? You still gotta be responsible for that mortgage. So the whole theory of everything is you don't want to get yourself into some shit you're not ready, right? Have a mentor, have somebody who has skin in the game. Man, I see people buy houses all the time, my peers, and I know they're getting ripped off. I know niggas getting ripped off. I just know you're getting ripped off because you don't understand the name of the game. Everybody wants to buy a home, but buy it the right way. Buy it efficiently. Buy it proactively, not reactively. Oh, now you're buying this home and you have to get these things fixed because you didn't know what the hell the house entailed. You just bought it because it looked nice. You didn't know you got to change out the damn the plumbing system because you have galvanized piping, even though some homes that was built before 1948 came with galvanized, and it probably is nothing wrong with them. But now you got to go to PEX piping because galvanized obviously erodes. So then you don't know certain things. So you're sold this house that has great running water, is running perfectly, and then a couple months later, whole house is fucked up, right? Flooded, all type of shit going on. Water turning all type of colors. Now you don't understand because you didn't take the time to understand the real estate game. You bought it because you seen other people buying houses. You bought it because your agent told you buy a good house because it's going to be going up in value. You bought it because you seen the comparables in the area. So the comparables is good, your agent is cool, but do you really know the anatomy of this home? Do you understand the autobiography of this home? Who lived in this home before you? How was this home taken care of before you? What happened to this home on why it's becoming available to be sold? So you want to know everything, right? You want to know the area. You want to know who's selling you this home. You want to know how many houses they sold. You want to know their clientele. Do they work with investors? Do they work with first-time home buyers? And then, of course, with appraisals, I like to also go as far as looking their name up when I get their information. How many other people work with this appraisal before? Do I call other appraisal companies to see what they feel like about this person? Do I even, do reviews on this person, see how other people reacted to their evaluation? So it's a lot of things that play a part, man. Lenders and all that sort. But like I tell you guys, the basis of this is knowing your information. If you know your information, nobody can play you, right? They could take my brain out, put it in somebody else's brain. That person will know everything because you can take my body, you can take all that shit, but the person who knows the information is the brain. That's where it's stored at. That's where the database is at. And once you prioritize knowledge, the money will come. I forgot what law that is, but the minute you prioritize knowledge, money comes, surely. So I try to tell people like, man, stay focused, stay diligent, stay consistent, and most importantly, stay faithful because it is not an easy game. It's not any easy industry to be in, but it is a rewarding industry, right? It is something that's going to allow you to have stability and longevity only if you pay your dues. And you're only going to pay your dues if you do the right work, which is your inspections, your due diligence, your comps, your paperwork, your people, your circle, people you work with, your community, your investors, your lenders, and most importantly, yourself. So as long as you have all those things in order and you believe in yourself, man, you can have bad appraisals. Just know that is this a learning experience, right? You can always get another appraisal done. You can always go another route and finding another lender. But don't get discouraged when you have certain situations in your real estate journey that cause you to feel like, damn, does this only happen to me? Damn, am I meant for this shit? Like, yes, you're still meant for it because not everybody could afford a home, let alone get into real estate. So for you to have 1 home, 2 homes, 3 homes, however homes you have is a blessing. So always remember that, man. Getting over that first hump is just the first hump. There's many more humps, but just get over that first hump. And then, stay focused in the current moment because tomorrow isn't promised. The next hour isn't promised. The next house isn't promised. The next deal isn't promised. Shit, the lender you work with isn't promised to be there for the rest of their life neither. They might fuck around and go bankrupt in 10 years and sell the loan to another lender. So everything is forever changing in this industry. So like I tell you guys all the time, just keep faith, keep doing your work, keep good people around you, do your due diligence, and more importantly, put God first. So once again, I appreciate you guys for listening to Roll the Business Podcast. It's been an amazing journey, guys. Check out my other episodes on real estate. And, of course, rate, review, share the podcast, and let me know what you guys think. Thank you.